are these people?
Again, we're talking about Stripe. Now, remember, we talked about how Stripe has a monopoly, quite a bit of a monopoly over the content creator space, because they are the exclusive payment processor for Stripe, for Substack. So if you have a Substack and you want to monetize, you have to have a Stripe account. And if Stripe demonetizes or decides they don't want to work with you, you can monetize Substack, at least directly. You can do what we do and have a Cash App and a GoFundMe or a Give, Send, Go, or some of the other things that other people do to raise money. But it's much easier to tap into the mechanism here, and Substack takes a fee. So I talked about this guy, Kevin Barrett, and I don't know who Kevin Barrett is, but he's an American Muslim and Islamic studies scholar. I don't know him, all right? But he has been demonetized by Stripe, which means he's been demonetized by Substack, and it's hurt a substantial portion of his income. And therefore, this gentleman, Kenaz, also decided that in solidarity, he was going to turn off his own monetization, all right, which is going to cost him upwards of $5,000 plus per year in subscription revenue. But he believes that what Stripe is doing is wrong. So what's happening here again is that Stripe wants to control the narrative, and they want the ability to tell a platform to not just demonetize, but to deplatform a creator. And they just recently updated their terms of service to ask them to do so. So what triggered this whole thing today or this weekend and said, oh, I got to cover this, was Derek Brose of the Conscious Resistance posted that he saw that Odysee had announced via their website that they're dropping Stripe. Wow, okay. What do you mean? He says, glad to see them dropping Stripe rather than comply with their demands to monitor their users and content moderation. What? So I, of course, jump in there to remind him, and Derek is a member of the Last American Vagabond, so I don't know if he was aware that I had written this article about Stripe last year, okay, about how they had too much power and some details and examples of some of the creators that they had already messed with, right? So Derek then continues with this part, and I'm going to read this statement by Odysee, and that's what's going to be included. All right, so it says from Odysee, and this is posted. By the way, did you know that you can actually like blog and post articles on Odysee to Odysee? I kind of did, but I've never really done that. But what they said is, we're dropping Stripe. Changes to our payment system. What? Yes. Good. She says, we're dropping, she says, no. Odysee says, we are dropping Stripe, the payment processor that we were using. It's one thing if Stripe doesn't want certain creators on Odysee to be able to use their service for monetization because of their own policies. We get that. Most people get that. Forcing Odysee to restrict users from using Odysee because they don't align with Stripe's policies, which are not ours, is where we draw the line. That's nonsensical, and it's also none of your business who we platform. We were working with Stripe to facilitate fiat-based creator payments. The arrangement was fine until it wasn't. Recently, a couple of users on Odysee complained to Stripe about other Odysee users that they didn't like who were using Stripe. We saw this also about 18 months ago, or 2 years ago now, in the Substackers Against Nazis argument. And we saw that they were going to go after Stripe. And that was one of the things that facilitated my argument 6 months ago in the article that I had written, was that I think that there were people behind the scenes who were complaining to Stripe to get Ryan Christian demonetized from Stripe and try to take him off of multiple websites, because he has Stripe turned on his own website. He had it turned on for Last American Vagabond on Substack, as well as on Locals. I think he has a Buy Me a Coffee set up, and all those go through his Stripe account, for which Stripe gets a fee every time, by the way. They just don't like what he's saying. And they don't like the fact that this Substackers Against Nazis group, these clowns, come out and they turn around and they go, well, if you're processing their payments, that means that you believe what they say is correct, and therefore you're this. Well, first of all, you can just say no like Substack management did, but that doesn't stop them. And they are, they're relentless. And they continue to go after the processor. And who's the processor? Stripe. And Stripe is also, by the way, Zionist affiliated. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, Stripe said that they complained about content being in violation of Stripe's policy. Don't ask us why those creators reported them. It only takes a few to spoil a good thing. This prompted Stripe to take a look into many creators on Odysee and request their demonetization if they didn't align with their policy. What? Excuse me? Baking powder? We understood their angle, and it's their choice who they want using their service. It wasn't like they were asking us to kick them off Odysee either. We observed some mistakes they made with demonetization after the fact, though, and we helped those creators get remonetized with Stripe later. But that's a rare thing. Most of the people that they kick off, they don't let back. If this was the conclusion of the matter, everything would be fine, but it wasn't. Here's the bad part. Stripe now wants to know all about our users. They want us to collect all kinds of sensitive information about you because Stripe doing know your customer checks as the money transmitter is not enough. Users should go through a prior round of arbitrary KYC checks first. What? That's not even the worst offense, though. Stripe requests Odysee's incorporation of third-party moderation tools to ensure that everything Odysee users post is in alignment with their own policy, even if those users aren't using Stripe for monetization in the first place. They basically want to take over content moderation of a platform.
Yes.
And we know who's running that, which is the NGOs, the State Department, the Hamilton 68s of the world, the GECs that just got reignited, as we saw through the State Department last week. So that's it. We're dropping Stripe. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who purchased Odysee Premium. Your support means everything to us. The badges you've earned will be permanently displayed on your profile, and they lay out the next steps about how they're going to get new monetization tools. All right. We will no longer take any cuts of tips, purchases, rentals, nor pass on processing fees to users for memberships. Oh my God, that's incredible. Transaction costs to send and receive will be negligible, which also opens the door for microtransactions, e.g. tipping in the pennies. I don't know why anyone would. And lower membership tiers, which I wouldn't set, but okay. But they want to have that payment system in place by the time they disable Stripe. So guess what? It's possible to unplug from Stripe and continue moving forward with a credit card and payment processor. All right. So they're going to have no new Stripe creator accounts. They're going to sunset all the premium memberships. They're going to implement an alternative. They've got a timeline. Content creators will want to let their fans know that a new payment system will be coming. We don't monetize there anyway, so for us, it's negligible. Have them keep an eye out for changes on the site and emails from us. However, what they're doing here is going to make me look at that again. Because if we can get free of Stripe, why the fuck wouldn't we? Because it sounds like they're going to demand that Substack at some point allow them to monitor the entire platform as well. And being the exclusive provider for Substack, they're going to allow them to do it. You know, and we're going to talk about why in a minute. So what can you do now? Sign up for an AR Connect wallet extension. All right. That is their crypto wallet thing that can be used on Odysee and will allow you to send and receive payments. Also available on mobile, iOS, Android. No need to purchase tokens or do anything else. And then they give you how to do that, right? And then there's a bunch of comments. And you're free, feel free to go there and comment. I will link this in the description after the show. And definitely you'll see it on the Substack article that is dedicated to the show. I think that's really important. And the reason why I think it's really important is because, first of all, we talked about it in June, as you saw. All right. Here's another one who says, takes notice of what Odysee is doing and says, hey, random note for the heads of Substack, please take notice. That's good. They're also a subscriber to the Substack, i3UTM. Go follow them also on Substack and on Notes. Then what I shared with Derek, as well as this one's an interesting one. And we talked about how Stripe was not available in Africa and in certain countries around the world, which means that Substack was not able to be monetized, with Stripe being the exclusive payment processor. So the people there are literally just watching the people around the world in basically the white Western countries get monetized and make money from their Substacks while they give away all of their intellectual property for free and never monetize it. They consider it to be a two-tiered system and a theft. And there's no reason that Substack couldn't put a payment processing in place specifically for the countries where Stripe either doesn't have a presence at all or has a poor presence, like India, which we covered in the first article that we wrote 7 months ago. All right. And big shout out to Michael Ginsberg. He's Actionable Truths and Actions. I think I'll have that in a minute. But here's another factor to consider. Polymath investor saying that Stripe is preparing for an IPO. Invested at estimated at a $70 billion valuation. The friend asked me if I liked IPOs. First of all, you have to be able to answer the hard questions. Why go public now? Who's selling shares? What are the lockup expirations? How will the proceeds be used? What's their competitive moat? Are their economics sound? Is their growth sustainable? All right. The reality is that most IPOs underperform. Why bother? Because patience beats FOMO. And it's an interesting analysis, especially given what's happened with the Trump coin and this whole meme coin thing over the weekend that soared to a record multi-billion-dollar valuation out of nowhere on Friday night. Stripe, on the other hand, basically, the Trump coin ended up almost worth as much at one point as Stripe itself, which is crazy. Now, beyond IPO, let's remember one thing. And again, Actionable Truths and Actions, Michael Ginsberg, Australian writer, independent, good dude. All right. He actually has sent me a message because I'm like, I saw something tonight. I'm like, we got to get the hell off this platform. It's really bad. He says, I think this is an important point, coupled with the fact that who is Substack's single biggest investor and thus calling the shots. Very important to remember that. And what other ventures they're involved in, Stripe being of particular context. And that biggest investor has the name of Andreesen-Horowitz, or Mark Andreessen. Anybody know who Andreesen-Horowitz is? Yep. He was just recently interviewed on Joe Rogan. He is part of the New Narrative Normal Network and I believe affiliated somehow with the PayPal Mafia. And definitely a venture capitalist and investor in multiple companies. My guess would be Substack's executives must know the company's growth would be harpooned and Substack would become more of a target than it probably already is if the company started crowing about how its star writers were right and how every other powerful person and organization in the world was wrong. This was talking about COVID specifically and how Substack should be marketing and advertising itself as the rebel platform that got it right during COVID and flourished and became a platform because of the writers there who got it right during COVID when the rest of corporate media got it wrong and lied to us. They seem embarrassed about it because now they're courting the corporate media schmucks who got it all wrong. And they want them to come here And it's embarrassing for them to have the people who got it right be the stars of the platform, because nobody really knows who they are outside of the platform. But they know who Don Lemon is. They know who Chris Cuomo is. So they hype those clowns. Propagandists who sold Pfizer and all kinds of bullshit then. All right. But the biggest thing here is Andreesen-Horowitz owns both Substack and Stripe. They are making double dipping on every single payment that happens on Substack. They're getting paid because they're an owner of Substack, and they're getting paid because they're an owner of Stripe. Stripe makes fees on every Substack transaction. So they're double dipping, which is the reason why you've seen Substack stay exclusive. And they won't tell you that.
Yep.
But we will. All right. That's what's happening. That's why Stripe sucks. Oh, yeah. And by the way, their CEO back in October posted a trolling, I think it was a trolling tweet, where he was thrilled to be back in Tel Aviv. It was just a picture of an empty street. He was out for a run. It was really weird that he did it. It was like he was announcing that he was a Zionist without saying it, and it stirred up a ton of controversy. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it off the top of my head to show here. But anyone who could find it, if you want to share it in the chat, please feel free to. But yeah, this is news to you, even Golden Monarch. That's interesting. I thought you would have known that Andreesen-Horowitz is not just investors in Substack and Stripe, but several other large organizations as well. They're making sure that they're going to profit from the entire content creator ecosphere. All right. So that's what's happening there. Shout out to everybody over on Rumble. Thank you for watching over on Rumble as well. Peter Thielville. Look, Rumble, I love Rumble and Locals as well, but that is an intelligence gathering operation. And we're going to talk about Rumble at the end, because Rumble got a massive infusion of cash from Tether, which is a cryptocurrency that is
3 million or something like that.
Like 775 million, more like. Something like that.
More like it.
Again, talking about topics like Stripe, which no one else talks about, is why we get, pushed down in the algorithm, demonetized, deplatformed on the TikTok side. All right. Which now they're back, but we're not getting back on TikTok. Support the media you want to see. Everybody there did. Just about everybody in chat I see is already on that sheet. And God, we love you for it. Thank you so much, really. Cash App is the best way to do that. I would like to get off of Substack even as far as payment processing. All right. Ko-fi, we're using PayPal, which is PayPal Mafia. I'd like to get off PayPal Mafia stuff as well. Cash App is Square, which is slightly better. That's Jack, who used to, who's the founder of Twitter. He's also the CEO of Square. So again, that's our supporters wall of fame. Gilgamesh last week picked up a monthly subscription over on Patreon. Thank you so much for that.
Can keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen? To 50,000 died, and now we know our mission. We form a militia, make Congress a prison. No, I play civil when all these dead won't make you listen. What's more American than slaying your oppressors? What's more American than liberty or death first? God, I thought we were founded on abolishing the tyranny of those who would starve a village all to live empirically. And I regret that I have only one life to give for my cause now that I can see the cause so clearly. See, I want our leaders, regardless of party, to fear me.